All right, we're back on sports today, and I will put it like this. I want to start off with something that a lot of people have talked about for the previous months, ever since the season has started, and that is the NBA. A lot of people are talking about how the NBA is the worst. This is the worst season for the NBA that we've ever seen. Okay, the worst ever that we have seen in previous years. We already knew that the NBA was on a decline because of the fact of how they've changed the rules and the way people play the game. Now, I will put it like this. I am also inclined to agree that these people that say that the NBA is the worst right now, they're correct. Okay, but as of late, we have seen a lot of people come out, on via video, via Facebook, Twitter, forums. We've seen it everywhere. We're saying, well, no, you're just saying that the NBA is bad because your team's not doing well. And that's not true. Okay, we're going to go all the way around this. When you look at those standings are atrocious. They are. All right, it's not just certain teams that are doing bad, but we will start with one team. As you all know, I'm going to start off with my Philadelphia 76ers. Understand, Sixers fans, this is something that you should not be supporting. It is not worth watching. Don't sit here and tell me, if you just want to take in a basketball game, just say, hey, I just want to be entertained or something like that, or just laugh at something. Okay, that's fine, all right? Because I do that too at times, Like I said, I can go out in the street and take in a basketball game if I wanted to and just watch street ball game. You know what I mean? I get it. But understand, the players that are on that court, a majority of the players on that court, are not fit for the NBA. Do they have raw skills? Yes. All right. Do some of them, can they be, taught, can they be coached to become better players and evolve? Yes. All right. When I see players like Michael Carter-Williams, well, a lot of people love Michael Carter-Williams. I like him too. I think he's a good player. However, he makes a lot of bad mistakes. This is his rookie year. He can get better. But when I'm seeing him try to do things like try to lay up the ball and it's an air ball off a layup, same thing with Tony Roden, laying the ball and it's an air ball. I have a problem with that. All right, there's certain things that you can't do. I understand certain players on the Sixers, when you see bad things like that, you're like, are you serious? What are they doing? You also have to understand that because the team isn't doing anything, certain players are trying to make things happen. That's what it is. And when you try too hard to do too much, you end up falling into that quicksand trap. The harder you try, the worse it gets. That's what happens when you play basketball. So you have to understand that the Sixers right now, with not a lot of their pieces, that this is going to be a big problem. They've traded off Spencer Hawes. They've traded off Evan Turner. I'm going to talk about Evan Turner in a minute, okay? But understand, like I said, these guys, a lot of them do not deserve to wear the jersey that they have. And I'm not just the only one saying this, because Jim Lynam came out and said a lot of these guys aren't NBA bound. They shouldn't even be on the court.
I think that sums it up, Michael. The Knicks simply had more juice. They had more depth, more NBA level people out there. Over the course of a 48-minute game, and as time wore on, that became more and more evident.
So Jim Lynam admits that we don't have enough NBA-level talent on the court for 48 minutes. For 48 minutes, we don't have enough NBA-level talent. So as a fan, you have to ask yourself, why would you support that? Why should you support that? Hell, even the fans that are watching these games in the stadium, they're falling asleep in the stadium watching the game. If that's not enough, no. Because the entertainment level of the basketball is so bad, Sixers fans took it upon themselves to entertain themselves by photobombing with the guy who was asleep. As you can see, the fundamentals of this game that keeps people entertained, they can't even hold a crowd, let alone try to have the skills to win a basketball game. I will put it like this. When Evan Turner was drafted here, and they played, was that first season he played here, and we knew, actually the first two seasons he played here, and we saw he had no jump shot whatsoever. What happened in the offseason? Anybody remember? Evan Turner had to go down into the college circuit and work with college coaches to work on his jump shot. That's right, college coaches. So you have to go back down to the college level while getting paid at a pro level. There's a problem. And I thought the NBA coaches were the best, aren't they? Aren't they the ones that's supposed to be teaching you? They're supposed to be the elite. So why are you going back down into the college circuit to learn? This is a problem. And it seems like people aren't taking it seriously enough until now. Jerry West spoke up. Charles Barkley spoke up. Dominique Wilkins spoke up. So let's hear what they have to say about the status of the current status of the NBA.
A lot of people to play, but there's a vast difference in people that can play at a higher level, like the NBA, because there's not enough players to go around. Just look at the league. This is the weakest I've ever seen this league. The weakest.
I agree with the great Jerry West. The NBA is the worst it's ever been. I blame that on kids. Number one, when they came right out of high school a few years ago. Now I blame it on kids coming out of college after 1 year. I would love for these kids to stay in college for more than 1 year because Jerry West had a great point. The NBA's worst it's ever been.
20-year-old age minimum will lead to a better NBA because the guys will be more mature. It'll be a better draft because our teams will have seen the guys play more against the top competition. From a leadership and skill standpoint, they'll be better when they get to the NBA. But maybe just as importantly, and this isn't something we've talked about as much in the past, it'll lead to a better college game.
We're talking about the state of the NBA, and get a load of this. Bearing in mind the one-and-done rule is actually an NBA rule, Mavericks owner Mark Cuban had this to say, quote, NCAA rules are so hypocritical. There's absolutely no reason for a kid to go to college because he's not going to class. And he's actually not even able to take advantage of all the fun because the first semester he starts playing basketball. So if the goal is just to graduate to the NBA or be an NBA player, go to the D-League. And then this from Dominique Wilkins on the Bobcats via Twitter following LeBron's 61-point game on Monday. Quote, watch the film. No closeouts on D. Doubles were late. Rotations were slow. It was too easy to score. At 54 years old, I could drop 40 on that D.
This is the exact reason why people have stopped becoming fans of teams and started becoming fans of individual players. Because when teams falter, like the Charlotte Bobcats, it's really weird. And it seems like everyone has scored these mass amount of points on the Charlotte Bobcats this year. You got to think Darren Williams went for 57 against them. Melo went for 62. LeBron went for 61. Understand that, and people keep saying that the Bobcats are a good defensive team. No, they're not. They're not. All right? You have to understand that this is something that shouldn't even happen as far as I'm concerned. If somebody's dropping 40, you should be pissed off. You should. All right? But it seems like players become so complacent because, they play so many games that they don't take it personally when someone drops 62, 61 points on you. That's ridiculous. And you know what? We're going to talk about that right now. Let's hear about, once again, the fundamental structure of these young players and also not caring. And Tim Legler really puts people in their place in this one.
We're not talking about the aesthetic, what the style of play is, but we're talking about the level of play you think has gone down?
Well, to me, it directly speaks to what the infusion is coming into the league in terms of talent, in terms of development, in terms of maturity. That's really what I'm talking about. And there has to be a diluted, watered-down effect when you have so many players, and I'm not talking about just the one and dones, I'm just talking in general, kids not getting enough development before they're putting an NBA uniform on. That's really what it comes down to. Whether it's 1 year, 2 years, maybe it's the program they're in and not getting enough coaching there, the AAU level and the lack of the grassroots teaching and development of skill level and understanding the game that goes on. And I know this because I'm right in the middle of AAU basketball. I coach an elite AAU team in South Jersey. They're U15s. They're freshmen in high school right now. I've had them since they were 9 years old. And we play teams, 50, 60 games I'll play this spring and summer. And we'll play a lot of programs with a lot of talent, kids that aren't being taught how to play. It's a pickup game. And so it starts there, and then it just continues on down the path. The next thing you know, this kid's in the NBA, hopefully, if he's lucky, and he really has never been taught the nuances of the game. And now that team has to make a decision on that kid 3 years into his career. Do we pay this guy franchise money or do we let him go? There's a lot of misses in the top 15 picks of the draft, I think more than ever.
And that is true. Remember, Knicks fans, when Amari Stoudemire came out and said that he was never taught how to play defense properly? This is something that happens, all right? We're seeing way too much flash and not enough substance. And like I said, in today's, NBA, when David Stern adopted this running gun, mentality without defense so you can score higher points and be more entertaining, it has really hurt the NBA. But what about the level of care from the players? Why don't we see people get mad anymore? We'll talk about that more as soon as they get into it.
It's changed because, as I said, the coaching isn't as good as it was. And I don't think your kids buy into winning as much as they used to. Whether it's social media, whether you're playing 5 games a day and you walk off, and what do? You walk off and you shake hands with the other guy and you hang out with him, right? In the old days, it was you finished the game, you walked off, you were pissed off, and you went your own way. And you didn't want to deal with those guys. And now, again, it's 4 or 5 games. You lose, big deal. I got another game coming in 2 hours, 3 hours.
And that's the problem with the mentality today. Everybody wants to be everyone's friend. Everyone wants to have drinks and be all hubbub. Oh, it's just a game. No. When you are in the heat of competition, you should care. If you don't have that level of care, you shouldn't be out on that court because then it questions your heart. See, that's the difference. You notice how when Allen Iverson, when he retired and all these players came out and was like, you know, he was the one-man gang and his mentality of how he approached things and how he played so hard. He was the toughest competitor and all this, and they idolize him. But no one follows that heart. It's the same thing with Michael Jordan. Everybody wanted to be like Mike and put up so many points, but no one saw how good of a defender he was. Nobody saw the overall game of how he played. Everyone just wanted to be praised like Mike and do those type of things offensively, but defensively they did nothing. They didn't have any mountains to climb because everyone, the bar is low, so low, there's nothing to do. There's really nothing to overcome, it seems. And that's a big problem when it comes with, you know, basketball in general. And for those who have not seen how these kids are structured and how these kids are, you know, sponsored, and it started at a very young age when they're given sneakers and all. I've said this before. If you haven't seen it, please watch the documentary Gunning for That #1 Spot. They talked to Kevin Love. They talked to, Brandon Jennings. They talked to Michael Beasley. Like, you see these guys actually play. And they talk about how, you know, at a very young age, these companies would approach them and get them into the system at a young age. So by the time they were ready, you already knew their draft stock. You already know. And, like, they show how they would fluctuate up and down and how, you know, media would lie about their draft, you know, their draft pick. And it's amazing on how this all goes down. It is scary to watch, you know? And here's the thing. When you're seeing these type of things happening, all right, you wonder, how can these type of things be fixed? Obviously, if these kids are not prepared, you should clearly take the time to prepare them, which means raise the age bar. Like I said, Adam Silver wants to have it at age 20. I specifically feel as though it should be at 21, all right? That's just me. It just goes to show you that these type of things are happening. But who's standing in the way of the age restriction? The union.
Commissioner Adam Silver wants this to get done, and it sounds like he does. What's to stop him from doing it?
Well, the union, obviously. You know, they fought it the last time.
They would have to go through another...
Correct. Yeah, it's currently not in the CBA, so you'd have to wait for the next collective bargaining agreement, or you try to get them to come to the table now, rip it up. It's not going to happen. The union's going to fight this hard. The union didn't want the 1 year rule put in.
Right.
It's certainly not going to allow a second or third year. So that's the roadblock that you're going to ultimately face.
So the Players Union, the Players Association, is what's holding everything back. Understand this really quickly, all right? I don't understand why the union would do that. I understand why they want to bring younger players in quickly because, you know, it's the in thing, it's the trendy thing, it's now, this is what you need, it's flashy, it's entertaining. But you also have to understand that you kill the longevity of your career that way, all right? This is why guys flake out 1, 2, 3 seasons. You know what I mean? You can't do that. No. This is something that happens. We've seen this. Look at Kwame Brown. Kwame Brown, they thought Kwame Brown was going to be such a great person. And then when he got in the NBA, he froze. And it wasn't physically, it was mentally. And it took him a number of years to get that attitude of, you know what, I just don't care. You know, to get that back so that he can start playing again. And still, to this day, we know Kwame Brown isn't that great. But when he first came out, you know, there were such high hopes for that guy. And then he just broke. That's what happened. And it seems like the Players Union, they're not understanding this. You can't keep getting these kids and throwing them into the fire and saying, you'll deal with it. No, you're not giving them any media training. You don't have any mentors for them. Like, a lot of these things, you know, need to be structured the right way. It starts with college. If they're going to go to college, they should have to do a mandatory X amount of seasons, years in college, and get an education, not just basketball. Come on now. Come on. But it seems like people are not, you know, they're not ready for it. They're not willing to do that. Whatever happened to working hard? Remember, people who played high school ball. Remember when you had to play high school ball and they said, look, you have to, you know, require a certain, you know, grade level in order to play basketball. If you go below that grade level, that is a requirement, you were off the team. That's how it was. Now you're telling me it doesn't even matter anymore about these kids' education. It doesn't matter anymore as long as they can play some basketball. And what happens if that kid gets hurt or has pretty much a career-ending injury? Then what? Nothing, right? You just discard them. And that's the problem we're seeing today. People are discarding them. I understand that the union has certain things in place to protect these players, but you have to give them time to develop, you know, you have to give them time to mature. That's what you have to do before bringing them in. And we've seen these times where media will toss them aside because ESPN acknowledges that we have a problem with them when it comes to always showing flashy highlights instead of giving you real information and teaching you these sports. It's just, it's highlight center, LeBron center. And it's interesting that they say this. I want you to pay attention to the way they talk about Andrew Wiggins at the end of this video, because it's absolutely disgusting how they just discard players with no problem.
A lot of people are going to say it's our fault because we're a star-making network and we're all about highlights and we put LeBron up there as a high school kid and that's sort of...
We did it with Wiggins right now. We're doing it with Andrew Wiggins.
Absolutely. He has not quite been up to snuff of all the hype that we gave him just a few months ago.
Really? He's not up to snuff of the hype that you've given him. That is a kid with a future ahead of him, and that's how you treat him because you can't, bank off of that, get your pockets lined, that you're just going to discard him. And it's funny. I love the fact that he said that because he should be fired for saying something like that, all right? Not up to snuff. After that was said, a couple days later, Andrew Wiggins dropped 41 on West Virginia. Looking real stupid right now, ESPN. As far as I'm concerned, that guy owes him an apology. You don't act like that towards a kid with his, his life ahead of him like that. You don't do that. It's different. He's a professional. But the fact that kid's in college and you act like that, you should be ashamed of yourself. But that's not all. No. Then ESPN tries to go right back to LeBron Center and keep you hooked on what's going on. And not just with highlights, but with drama that they say they're going to show you and then never show you.
That is just a ridiculous goal. Either way, more from college hoops, especially on the men's side. Jeff Goodman going to join us with his thoughts on Wichita State and why they should be a 1 seed.
And in the NBA, LeBron just got teed up. What did he do to get it? We'll have that for you. Wait till you see him lose his temper at the top of the hour. Hang tight.
Now, first, let me say this now. That was at the end of the previous hour, so only 30-second, wait, as opposed to, when it rolls over, how they got to do the little intro and then go into the, the news segment, right? Okay, so that's the top of the hour to keep you watching. Secondly, if you're feeling like I'm feeling, who the hell cares if LeBron James was teed up? That is not news, as far as I'm concerned. Players get teed up all the time, but they're going to try and highlight that. So if this guy sneezes or farts, they're going to sit here and announce it. It's pathetic, all right? But let's see what they show at the top of the hour when it comes to LeBron, because if you heard him, we're going to see how LeBron reacts and freaks out and everything. Let's see what they show us.
And then tempers flare. LeBron looking for the outlet pass, gets tied up with Jimmy Butler underneath the basket, and both would be assessed a technical. So
where's that? I mean, I see two players getting tied up, scrambling for the ball, and trying to, be competitive. Where are you seeing that, all of a sudden, all this temper and all this attitude that you're sitting here talking about? This is what I'm talking about with ESPN, man. Y'all try and sensationalize this garbage and then try to sit here and say, oh, this is what sports. No, that's entertainment. That is dramatic. That's you trying to start something. Now, look. I didn't see if LeBron, go to another video or whatever to see if LeBron freaked out. I'm showing you what they showed me at the time, the audience at the time. You're promising, LeBron freaking out, and then you show nothing. You cut it before anything happens. Are you trying to protect him? Or are you just trying to lie? I don't know. But you know what? The way you went about that was very, very nasty as far as I'm concerned. But that's not all. I've been telling you people for a long time how, the media tries to sit and tries to take from certain demographics. And for those who did not see what happened last week, this is disgusting as far as I'm concerned. Don't tell me, all right, that Lil Boozy, all right, plays sports. Nah, not trying to hear it, okay? Why is Lil Boozy being announced that he's been released from jail, all right, on ESPN? Who cares? You're sitting here still trying to take from a demographic and say, hey, we're cool. Stay watching us. You've got to be kidding me. It's the same demographic that, that sits and pushes ignorance when you see guys wearing Boozy Mandela shirts. Man, if y'all don't get the... I'm telling you, I'm not even going to start on that, all right? That's a whole different subject as far as I'm concerned. But let's stay on the media still trying to pander or cater or take from a demographic when this straight out-of-box crackerjack from NBA Hang Time tries to use AKAs and gets it completely wrong.
Warriors, Raquel, BD, Bones, a.k.a. Brett Berry.
Would someone please, for the love of God, tell that idiot that he is completely wrong? AKAs are an alias, Okay? So the way he said, Bones, a.k.a. Brent Barry, no. Brent Barry is not his alias. That's his real name. It would be the other way around. Brent Barry, a.k.a. Bones. Don't you understand this? But yet, this is the type of thing I'm talking about. The NBA and the media are so fixated on entertainment and trying to please you that the quality that's going on the court is still bad. And yes, we're talking about acting and flopping.
Technical today. And nice pass to Wade. Heinrich with the foul, and Wade is hurt. And they'll call this flagrant. They're mad at Heinrich. Everybody got involved because he hit it. They thought it was
It was up in the air. Now we'll see the replay.
Okay, Dwayne Wade's fouled. Fine, all right? But the falling on the floor and laying like someone has shot you, okay? And you're holding your face and but guess what? We'll look at the replay again. Dwayne Wade was never hit in his face. He was pulled down by his shoulder.
Up in the air, grabbing him like that after he passed him. I think they'll probably repeat that as a flagrant. So they call the flagrant.
That's not a flagrant foul.
So as you can see, that's exactly what's wrong with the NBA. Not enough fundamentals, hard work, or heart. But everything is focusing on flashiness and dramatics and flopping and like it's Hollywood. Who cares? You're doing your career, your job, the thing that you love the most, the things that have got you out of bad areas as a kid, and you're now a pro and making millions of dollars. You disrespect that, doing these type of things. Anyways, I want to move on. I want to talk about football, all right? NFL free agency is here, and it has been really tough to keep up with everything because everything's just exploded. Owners have gone crazy. The Cowboys got rid of Demarcus Ware and Miles Austin. Demarcus Ware still has legs on him. Miles Austin, look, he hasn't been good. Let's be honest. He hasn't been good since Kim Kardashian got her claws into him. He hasn't done anything. Okay, so I can understand that. The Eagles, they did get rid of Jason Avant. They picked up a number of people on defense, and they're looking still at to get Byrd. There's so many people who are trying to get him. The Redskins want him as well. People are still talking about Revis. The Broncos are looking into him. The Eagles were looking into him. Everybody's looking into Darrelle Revis. I don't know. The Browns have picked up Whitner. They've picked up. There's so many. There's be links in the info bar. Like I said, I can't keep up with everyone. There's so many teams that are in the cap problem. The Steelers just gave Troy Polamalu a 3-year deal. Even though they're having cap problems, there's just so much that's going on. And it's clear that, and one of you guys had asked me, what do you see what's going to happen with free agency? What did I say? The NFL is going to go crazy when it comes to defensive picks and free agency. I said, and when it comes to the offensive side of the ball, they're probably going to look towards the draft. And so far, that is going right. I'm not saying completely right yet, but so far, it seems that's where it's going. Defense is a big key right now. Also, there's talk about Michael Vick going to the Jets. So we don't know what's going on. And, Adrian Peterson said he would like to have him in the Vikings. It doesn't matter where Michael Vick goes. If he can't stay healthy, he's not going to be able to play. It's that simple. So if you want to take the gamble on Vick, go ahead. I mean, we have our quarterback. We have Foles. We're going to need a legit backup. Don't tell me Barkley is going to be our backup. No. We need a legit backup. So that is one thing. Like I said, you're going to have to keep me, intact of what's going on with all these trades. I cannot keep up. The Saints are doing something. They just got rid of Darren Sproles. Carolina has cap problems right now. I don't know what they're going to end up doing. Obviously, they don't have to do anything much defensively. They were a pretty good defensive team last year, so offense is going to be a factor. There's a lot of people who still need quarterbacks. Also, there's talk about Tim Tebow once again. Stop. I'm not getting into this, all right? Every season's going to be the same thing. Tim Tebow's available. Tim Tebow's available. Stop. It's amazing how Tim Tebow is the only person who, for some reason, gets a free pass. That if he's not able to play quarterback in this league, you can keep pushing him. But people like Michael Robinson, he played quarterback at Penn State. Then what he had to do? He had to change position. They had to make him first he was running back, then they made him a wide receiver. Like players who want to play in the NFL, okay? If they have to, they will change positions. Tim Tebow, you are not a quarterback. It is time for you to realize that you had your heyday as one, but if you want to play in the league, you're going to have to change like everyone else has done if you're not at that elite level. Just saying. You're going to have to. There's so many. Antoine Randall L. used to be a quarterback. We see how they use him, right? Receiver, and at times, they do that, that option. then he can throw the ball. We see a number of people do this. But Tim Tebow, for some reason, wants to still be a quarterback. I understand his passion for wanting to be a quarterback. I understand he loves doing it. But if you want to play, you want to play in this league, you may just have to adjust. And it seems like he doesn't want to do that. And I'm getting real sick and tired of seeing it. Like I said, you want to play. You know there's other positions available for you, Tim Tebow. No one's saying that you can't play an NFL game. We're just saying you can't play quarterback at the NFL level. That's what it is. Now, I do want to move on and talk about Flyers hockey real quick. Because let me tell you something. Went to the game last night when they played the Devils. Those referees screwed us at the end. That is a goal. All right? Brodeur didn't have possession of that puck. He didn't. All right? And if you watch it from the multiple angles, overhead angle, behind angle, it slipped out between his skates before he was even bumped into. Mind you, Scott Hartnell was pushed into him. All right? But they were so quick to swallow that whistle. And then they tried to say, well, you bumped into him. It can't be reviewable. I'm not trying to hear that. It's a goal. You screwed us last night, refs. You did. You owe us one now. The Devils, they were playing some pretty good hockey near the second half. Flyers looked pretty good in the first, in that first half of hockey. About period into the second, the first half of the second period, they played pretty good hockey. And then after that, pretty much went downhill. Late in the game, when they had to start pulling people and stuff like that, that's when problems happened. And let me ask you Flyer fans something, all right? Why the hell is Steve Downey on this team? Every time I turn around, this dude is in the penalty box. It don't make no damn sense. Man, if y'all don't get rid of him, it's crazy. You got rid of Mazzaros before you got rid of Coburn? Really? Really? Mazzaros had just started getting back into his own thing. He was scoring goals. All right, whatever. It is disgusting to see certain players still on this team. Coburn should not be on this team, even though, and here's the thing, Coburn was like, why is Coburn on this team? We've been saying it for years. Why is Coburn still on this team? And then Steve Downey comes along, you find someone who's even worse, and it makes Coburn look like a saint. That's what it is. It is disgusting. I don't understand this. The way these lines are put up, I don't understand why you had Simmons and Hartnell out there with Giroux and Jake Voracek. I don't understand this. You know both of those guys are grinders when it comes to Scotty and Simmons. I understand that people like that line, but when you go into those other lines, guess what? You don't have a guy to crash that net to sit there and grind. You need to break those two up. You put them on separate lines. That's what it comes down to. They're both equally good, but you cannot have two guys blocking, sitting in front of a goalie. It doesn't work that way. Only one can do it. So you split up and you put them on a different line. So guess what? So those other guys can work their magic. Reed can work his magic. Shen can work his magic. Couturier can work his magic. You have to give these guys a chance. No one's sitting in the center with those other lines. That's the problem. I don't know why Berube is doing this, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm tired of seeing it. Last night, the Flyers had so many chances to score. 2-on-1, 3-on-1. You know what I mean? And then they go back into this. We're just going to keep passing and passing and passing. No, take the shot, all right? And you guys that are coming down with you, they can have a chance at a rebound for a putback in goal. You have to do this. But the Flyers aren't doing that for some reason. And Berube is not making any changes. Now, granted, we are doing good in our position. Those... second place to fourth or fifth, almost down to sixth, are very close when it comes to points. All right? And I don't really look much at points, but they are very close. I look at wins. That's how I see it. You need points, win games. I don't want to hear, we went to overtime, we got a point. I don't want to hear it. Win games. That's what you play to do. You play to win. You don't play it for points. You gotta be kidding me. It's amazing how people just justify this garbage. Anyways, I am done for today. I got things to do. I got basketball, actually. After talking about basketball and being pissed off about it, now I have basketball to go do. So I will upload this and then go do what I got to do. I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. Next week, we'll do it again. I'm out.